Sorry guys, I'll stop talking about Doom eventually, but since we're about to get Doom 2016 too, why not take a look at the original Doom 2? I don't know how this will go. I might have more stories than actual review.
Doom 2 was a retail title, so no shareware hoop jumping. This could be bought at a store. Of course, my parents didn't get that Packard Bell for violent video games. My dad wanted to use Microsoft Works. Look it up, it was real, it's an oxymoron. My brother, the Doom Crusader, knew a friend who had bought Doom 2 and asked to borrow the disc. He got the disc right before Spring Break 95. So, a solid week of dooming? No! We spent that week in Alturas, California. My dad was working there at the time, so we went with him. What that really means is, my brother and I lived in the car for the week. You know that thing you do when you buy a new game and you read every square inch of the box as your parent drives you home? Trust me, it was a thing. I read the copyright gibberish on the case hundreds of times that week in the car. Also, having only played Doom shareware, I didn't know about the cyber demon, much less that this was a cyber demon. In my prepubescent head, I figured it was the devil. I also figured that they figured that the devil was a woman, because, well, you know. The week finally ended, we went home, I used the F5 trick to load only DOS, and we finally played Doom 2. Actually, I threw on a bunch of cheats and just palled around the Megawad. I laughed at the 2 Wolfenstein levels, was legit scared of the Archvile, could only beat the game by attacking John Romero directly, and I tried to crash the game by turning on invincibility in the last level and leaving the game running, before I knew what crashing a game meant. I eventually stopped playing because of the DOS landing screen. This line right here. Remember, if you are playing a pirated copy of Doom 2, you are going to hell. I didn't know what piracy was, but I knew we didn't pay for it. That spooked me pretty bad, and I didn't touch it again until I legitimately bought Doom many years later. Shortly after I quit, I began having nightmares about Doom 2. In the absence of the game, my mind created some haunting images. And you know how dreams go. If you're playing a video game, a couple rapid eye movements later, you're now in the game. It's hard to make this funny and describe the screaming terrors I saw, but I recently came across a Doom 2 WOD called Holy Hell, and I say, this is a close representation. The Perfect Dark MIDI track wasn't in the nightmare though. Well, maybe it was. I couldn't hear it over the billions of souls in agony. So, Doom 2. What's going on? Doom Guy two-shot killed the Spider Mastermind and stepped into a portal back to the hell-ravaged Earth. This is of course the end of the episode Inferno. I never understood the location of Thy Flesh Consumed. Did he turn around and do another lap in hell while holding Daisy's head? The plot was never exactly a strong point with this series. Doom 2 honestly feels like an expansion pack in content, but a full sequel in length. Another well-paced, demon-blasting, bathroom tile-sized pixel adventure. The difference here is there are no breaks between episodes. It is a true, as-designed, 30 continuous level stream, and the levels get huge. Doom Guy begins in the human world and travels back to hell. Guess hell has 2 doors. The levels range from demented, tricks and traps, barrels of fun, to pitiful. Seriously? This is the suburbs? Downtown looks nothing like a city! I have better memories with the original Doom, for fear of damnation, but I believe I've bought enough versions of Doom 2 as penance. Hey Storm, what other versions do you have? Well, the gag is up. Playing the console versions of Doom was an epic prank, but now it's old hat. Still, I'm compelled to fire up the old consoles and start bitching at that brick wall again. And don't worry, the list is much shorter this time. Doom 2 for Sega Saturn! Hey, while we're at it, lump this one in too. Doom 2 for Sony PlayStation! I'm putting these together because they are essentially the same. When you bought Doom on the Saturn or PlayStation, you get a 55-level Super WOD, which included levels from Ultimate Doom and Doom 2, just rammed together as one adventure. Not my preference, but that's quite a deal. These are also the versions that suffer from 90s angst and had all the songs and sounds replaced. The only difference I can tell between the versions is the PlayStation had colored lighting and the Saturn absolutely croaked on massive levels, even with a reduced ceiling height. I played through both with a nervous smile and convinced myself that this is proper Doom. The endgame music continued to annoy me beyond words. Just turn this down and turn this up. After I beat Monster Condo, map 27 in proper PC Doom 2, the next level was something called Redemption Denied, and that's the last level. Whoa, guys, you're just gonna skip the Spirit World and the Living End? The best map in Doom 2? And come to think of it, you skipped the industrial zone, thereby skipping the secret Wolfenstein levels. You skipped Gotcha, the Chasm, and Downtown. Oh, actually, I'm okay with that one. And why is Circle of Death renamed to O of Destruction? That was merely foreshadowing the trouble ahead. I knew Redemption Denied was the last level because the opening level is just like the Icon of Sin, but instead of facing the Icon of Sin, you fight an army of barons. Somewhat difficult, okay, you do get an invincibility orb. After that, a wall opens up, finally revealing the Spider Mastermind. But it's facing away. You botched the final boss fight? Don't talk to me right now, I'm inconsolable. Oh, and Sega Saturn, your end text is off-center. You don't mess with the QA department. Doom 2 for Game Boy Advance. Well, I'll be damned. Damned. It's the full version. It somehow made good on the Super Nintendo promise. While the Saturn and PlayStation wussed out by not even bothering to include the arch-rival Revenant, Game Boy Advance proudly delivers Gotcha, not to mention legitimate Icon of Sin. The Chasm and Industrial Zone were too big for GBA capabilities, so they were split into 2 levels each. But it still had Secret Wolfenstein. This was before id was woke, so you get to shoot the SS guards. And it handles Downtown, boo, and the Living End like proper, and it performs better than the port of the first. Torvis wins! David A. Palmer Productions, Storm S. Dain Productions is calling you out. I actually work with a guy named Dave Palmer, and that is his real name. I've gone off track again. I think we're done here. Doom 64! 64? They made that many? After the prank Doom video, multiple viewers questioned why I didn't include Doom 64. I got the impression not many gamers understand that this is not just another port of Ultimate Doom. It's a completely new game, and an actual sequel to Doom 2. Another matriarch demon survived the Phobos War of Attrition with Doom Guy, and it's resurrecting the dead, blah-de-blah-de-blah blah blah, fight his way back to the source. I guess hell is Grand Central Station. So many ways to walk in. It's a new 32-map megawad with stunning 3D graphics, ready to kick the 5th console generation into overdrive. Now, I have played this before. There were very few individuals in my high school that owned a Nintendo 64. Most were flying the flag of PlayStation Nation. And I only knew one guy that had Doom 64. Yes, I borrowed from a friend. I now own it. Thank you, eBay. One thing has bothered me all this time. There was one puzzle involving a yellow key that I could not figure out, and I had to resort to passwords to move forward. I found it again in the current playthrough. Map 8, final outpost, and there's the yellow key. Now how do I get it? That's it? I could just take the key? I guess the trick is don't step on these first. How was I the valedictorian? As with every time Doom hits a generational bump, the same monsters return with sort of a facelift. In the case of 64, they are the shiny, pre-rendered sprite styles we saw in Donkey Kong Country and Super Mario RPG. Demons look great. Zombies are too skinny to be Marines. Barons look off by a few chromosomes. Paint elementals are nightmare fuel, in a good way. And the Cyber Demon, about the same. Aside from a stronger imp, no new minions, and that's okay. Notably absent Archvile and Revenant. They may be pretty, but even back then, the engine was dated. It's 1997. Computer games can do true 3D now. Console games can do true 3D now. The shortcuts employed in id Tech 1, we're past that. At least it's full screen. That was an old struggle. All the weapons got a reskin and a new weapon introduced. I believe the community calls it the Unmaker, and I heard it could be upgraded by finding the secret levels. Most of us probably picked it up, fired at a Hell Knight for a while, then went right back to the Super Shotgun. And check out the reload animation. Damn, that was intense. Come on, you couldn't animate cocking the shotgun, but you bothered to give the plasma rifle an electric bolt and continuously loop the same half a second of bzzz sound? That was more annoying than my daughter. Is the fun there? Well, yeah, and the way that Medal of Honor is fun, shooting at things. To me, a self-proclaimed original gangster of Doom, it's a mixed bag. The levels, they ain't Sandy Peterson pedigree of excellence. The first third were very military administrative and showcase features not seen in the original engine. The last third are a decent Hellvision. The bulk of the middle, everything looks like Quake. And did I mention dark? At times, I'd probably have better luck just shutting my eyes and playing. The level naming is the same dizzy attitude as Doom 2. Levels like Watch Your Step and the sequel to Dead Simple, even simpler. I noted new triggers were added to the engine, like kill-based events. Now, the button triggers in Doom 64 are just wrong. It's never in proximity. Most button triggers an elevation change on the other side of the map, and you have to survey all the inaccessible areas you noted on the way to the button. But the most annoying and repeated design? Keys on platforms. Instead of cleverly hiding keys, they're in the open and just need to be lowered. It's insulting! I'm right here! Just give it to me! Why isn't there a save option? Oh, there is. With the memory pack. Well, why isn't it working? Maybe a bad connection with the controller. You know, I picked up this broken third-party controller at a used game store, and it is the best Nintendo 64 controller I have ever used. There, I said it, Retro Fighters. Now put me on your website. I've used so many third-party controllers that try to recreate the original Nintendo design. No! Bad idea! Just give me a GameCube control stick on a 64 controller. Perfect! Why didn't we think of this before? Lacking the save option, we are back to passwords. I'm resisting the urge to complain about the length of these passwords. I don't want to be seen as ripping off other critics.
Dance Dance Revolution 4th Mix!
Even the publishing company foresaw an issue and gave us a section to write passwords in the manual. These passwords are from the previous owner. I typed all mine out. The passwords are for cheats too, because I remember throwing on God mode a few times as a teenager. Yeah! Get drunk! PlayStation and Saturn Doom fleshed out a new set of enemy sounds, and sadly, Doom 64 used them too. Then the music. Oh, it started out good. The opening sequence sounded like the other theme, just a little sideways. Afterward, we get the noise soundtrack. Oh, this is such a terrible direction for the franchise. I hate it. I hate that it is eerie and fills you with doubt if the noise was atmosphere or an actual enemy, creeping you out during nighttime play sessions. And only after hearing myself say that I realize I'm complaining about a game choosing a theme and executing it very well. But Doom was about racing through demonic halls with big guns and blasting evil in the gonads, which in this setting is a mismatched tone, and that sounds like an intelligent quote, so I'll just go with it, and I rest my case.
Perhaps the best thing to happen to id? John Carmack. The second best thing to happen to id? John Carmack leaving. I say this because when they finished Doom 3 in 2004, the company announced they were working on a new IP. 7 years later, they released Rage. And the release after that was a re-release of Doom 3. Now with the Super Genius out of the way, they can start acting like a responsible studio again. Farm out the franchises to other studios, and they work on Doom. It seems they used all the original bosses in Doom 2016, which leaves you to wonder, who's going to be the boss of Doom Eternal? Well, certainly not the Icon of Sin, because they used that too. See? And as long as we're looking at Doom 2sies, why not Universal Pictures' second attempt at a Doom movie?
Doom Annihilation! Ew, you actually watched that? Watched it? I had a viewing party! We all saw the trailer last year, and I immediately understood that this was Universal 1440, an offshoot studio that makes movies so cheap, they're guaranteed to make a profit. I can get past the imps throwing fireballs like Hadoukens. I can get past the BFG being underpowered and looking like it was manufactured by Hasbro. I can get past the lack of high-tier enemies. And I can get past the elements taken from Alien and Space Odyssey. I cannot get past them getting the source wrong again! It's not aliens. It's not a virus. It's not an ancient civilization. It's meant to be hell. Why doesn't anybody want to commit? But I will say, I love the movie for the sheer number of references it shoved in. John Carmack, Blazkowicz, Dr. Petruger, Ultra Nightmare, Daisy, and the main protagonist is Joan Dark. That can't be an accident. So that's my message to all you youngsters. Embrace the bad. You'll live a much happier life. In the circle. The circle of death.